Tham Lang, the noble son-in-law, the benefactor of the Earl's household. Half an hour later, Tham Lang, Kim Hui, and Kim Jung led a group of 100 cavalrymen from the Earl's residence, rushing with full force to an unknown location. As they traveled, Hua Wen Chieu's face became increasingly pale, his body shaking uncontrollably. Finally, the cavalry stopped at a remote mountain gorge. There was nothing there but a dilapidated stone watchtower, nearly in ruins. "Get down, Mr. Hua Wen Chieu," Tham Lang said coldly. At this point, Hua Wen Chieu could hardly move. His legs felt like noodles, barely able to hold him up. This scene felt strangely familiar. Was it from some other worlds, the people's name? Two of the Earl's soldiers directly dragged him off his horse. "You must be very familiar with this place. To others, it's insignificant, but for you, this is crucial. Am I right, Mr. Hua Wen Chieu?" Hua Wen Chieu could barely breathe, still stubbornly retorting, I don't know what you're talking about." Even when death was imminent, he still refused to admit defeat. 100 cavalrymen immediately formed a perimeter, while Kim Hui, Kim Jung, and more than 10 soldiers entered the ruined watchtower. Crash! Suddenly, the door was kicked open, and a dark figure tried to escape, rushing out quickly. Kim Hui was a master, and how could he allow such an escape? He swiftly grabbed the figure by the neck, lifting it off the ground. Whoosh! The dark figure shot out a poisoned arrow from the sleeve. Kim Hui quickly blocked with his arm, which had a small shield on it, deflecting the arrow. Then, with a lightning-fast movement, he effortlessly broke the figure's limbs. Crack! Crack! The shadowy figure let out a miserable, bone-chilling scream. "No!" Hua Wen Chieu cried out in despair. Kim Hui stepped forward, ripping off the dark figure's protective mask, revealing a familiar face full of fear and hatred. It was none other than Hua Wen Chieu's son, Hua Dian, who had been overseeing the secret gold vault. "This watchtower is in ruins. What are you doing here?" Kim Jung asked. "Who are you to ask? I'm here to play. Is that a problem?" Hua Dian replied coldly. Tham Lang spoke. "Stop wasting time with him. There's a hidden passage here. Dig it out." Over 10 soldiers stepped forward, unaware of where the hidden passage or mechanism might be. But they dug relentlessly, digging 3 feet of earth. More than half an hour later, the ground of the dilapidated watchtower was dug 2 feet deep. Sure enough, a secret door appeared with a large iron lock hanging on it. Kim Hui stepped forward and slashed with his knife. However, the lock remained intact, and the blade snapped. "This lock is made of iron. It can't be cut by a sword. It must be opened with a key. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Hua Wen Chieu must have the key on him." Immediately, Hua Wen Chieu started to struggle fiercely. Kim Jung stepped forward and searched his body, but couldn't find the key. However, he pulled out a heavy brooch from Hua Wen Chieu's chest. Suddenly, it clicked open. As soon as the brooch was removed, it revealed the shape of a key.
56.2. Hua Wen Chieu really was clever in his schemes, turning the key to the gold vault into a decorative brooch. Kim Jong took the key, and sure enough, it unlocked the sturdy black lock and the heavy, thick door. This door was also made of iron, just like the lock. Hua Wen Chieu had really gone all out with his preparations. After pushing the door open, a set of stairs appeared leading down to a hidden passage. Indeed, there was a secret vault beneath. Kim Jong and Kim Shui pushed Hua Wen Chieu down the stairs and into the secret vault. It was pitch black. Nothing was visible. Kim Jong lit a torch, and the area was illuminated. Then, everyone in the group was left speechless. The golden light filled the space. The entire place was filled with gold. The small secret vault was lined with shelves filled with all sorts of chests, which all contained gold coins. Not only that, there were jewels, antiques, calligraphy, and paintings. It was truly a treasure trove. No one expected this. Hua Wen Chieu, a mere manager in the Earl's residence, had embezzled so much over 20 years. Kim Jong and Kim Hui were absolutely furious. Hua Wen Chieu, if it hadn't been for the old Earl seeing you as a distant relative of his wife and taking you in, you would have been nothing but a poor, hopeless scholar. If the old Earl hadn't sponsored your education, how could you have passed the imperial exams? How could you have become proficient in mathematics? You, a mere servant, your home, your wife, your children, everything was provided by the Earl's residence. And this is how you repay the Xuanwu Earl household? You are a heartless beast, worse than an animal. Tham Lang found a ledger on the shelf. It was Hua Wen Chieu's embezzlement diary. It detailed the amount of gold embezzled and the dates. Everything was meticulously recorded. Tham Lang chuckled and said, "Mr. Hua Wen Chieu, now the evidence is irrefutable. Can you see it now? The proof is overwhelming, isn't it?" Hua Wen Chieu gasped for air, completely unable to speak. He collapsed onto the ground, unable to stand. But there was something he couldn't accept. This hidden gold vault was a top secret, and not even his wife knew about it. How could Tham Lang have found out? In a hoarse voice, Hua Wen Chieu said, "Tham Lang, I never told anyone the location of this secret vault. How did you find out?" Not only Hua Wen Chieu, but even Kim Jong and Kim Hui couldn't fathom. This secret vault was a well-kept secret, so how could Tham Lang know about it?
Tham Lang sneered and said, "Hua Wen Chieu, you're so greedy that even the secret gold vault has to be funded by the Earl's residence. 9 years ago, in the books, you skimmed nearly 20,000 pounds of iron, yet bought 25 pounds of inferior iron. This place, the only watchtower that had been abandoned for years, was by the way manned by over 130 workers, all supposedly dismantling the place. You really think everyone is an idiot? You're so foolish. You even told me the location of the secret gold vault in the books." Upon hearing this, both Kim Jong and Kim Hui were deeply impressed. Tham Lang had deduced the location of the gold vault from these subtle traces. His intelligence was truly exceptional. Hua Wen Chieu immediately lost control, pointing at Tham Lang and screaming, "Are you human or a demon? What are you? Take all the gold, the treasures, and transport them back to the Earl's residence. Bring this scum, Hua Wen Chieu, back as well," Tham Lang ordered coldly. "Yes, sir." Kim Jong immediately grabbed Hua Wen Chieu and dragged him back. Hua Wen Chieu's eldest son, Hua Dian, had his arms and legs broken and lay helpless on the ground, staring at Tham Lang with eyes full of hatred. Tham Lang said, "This person is to be executed. Cut off his head." Hua Dian froze, shouting in panic, "Do you dare? Under the new order of the Dai Viet kingdom, the nobility has no right to deal with their subordinates, much less execute them." Tham Lang chuckled coldly. "You fool! Who will know if I kill you here? We'll burn your body to ashes and scatter them in the sea. Your existence will vanish without a trace." Kim Hui stepped forward and was about to directly sever Hua Dian's head. Tham Lang suddenly spoke, "Why don't I give it a try?" He didn't intend to kill, but he wanted Hua Wen Chieu to feel the harsh reality of this world. Kim Hui was taken aback, then handed Tham Lang the small dagger. Next, Kim Hui, being a master, easily pinned Hua Dian down, not allowing him to struggle. Tham Lang held the sharp dagger and traced it lightly across Hua Dian's neck, pressing gently before swiftly making a motion with the blade. Kim Hui's eyes were open wide. "Wait, why does this posture look even more practiced than mine?" The entire caravan returned triumphantly. When the Earl saw all the gold, jewels, and antiques, he was overwhelmed with a mixture of joy and sadness. He felt like he had been lost, but had found something precious again. At the same time, his heart was full of grief. He began to doubt himself. Had he truly done something wrong? He had been so tolerant and kind to others, yet he had raised such a heartless traitor. Was he just a blind fool? If it hadn't been for his son-in-law, Tham Lang, Hua Wen Chieu would have continued his corruption, not caring how much pain and suffering he caused to the people of the Earl's residence. Good son-in-law indeed. It was only because of Tham Lang that the Earl's residence had managed to recover from such a huge loss. Thanks to Tham Lang, the current financial crisis in the Earl's residence had greatly been alleviated. The Earl looked at Tham Lang, and countless words of gratitude were left unspoken. As he was a family member, thanking him seemed too formal. Then the Earl turned his cold gaze at Hua Wen Chieu and said coldly, "Hua Wen Chieu, do you have anything to say now?" Hua Wen Chieu trembled, then suddenly fell to his knees, crawling toward the Earl's feet. He clung to the Earl's legs and cried, "Master, it's all my fault for being blinded by greed. All the mistakes are mine. Please don't be angry. Your health is more important." The Earl suddenly kicked him away, coldly saying, "Stop acting. I truly was blind to trust you, to promote you. I never thought a human heart could be this vicious." Hua Wen Chieu crawled again, clutching the Earl's legs, banging his head on the ground desperately, crying, "Master, it's all my fault. I didn't see the mountain and offended you. I was foolish and heartless. Please, for the sake of my old age, spare me. I will serve you like a horse or dog. Please."
Uchihan Wen Chieu must die. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was somewhat shocked. Hua Wen Chieu, who was holding on to Tham Lang's leg, suddenly froze. The Earl rarely killed anyone, especially someone like Hua Wen Chieu, an elderly man. Even though he had embezzled so much gold, the worst he could face was a house search and being exiled to a distant, remote place to live out the rest of his days. But Tham Lang was now directly ordering his death. Old Master Lin said, "Young Master, Hua Wen Chieu is not a servant of the Earl's residence. He is only here through external relations. We have no right to execute him. The most we can do is hand him over to the city lord's office." This was also the law of the new Dai Viet regime. No noble had the right to interfere with civilian matters except in cases involving servants who had signed contracts. Nobles had no right to judge or execute their subjects. Tham Lang replied, "Hua Wen Chieu not only embezzled vast amounts of gold, but he also conspired with external enemies. If we hand him over to the city lord's office, he will likely be out of our reach within days, living freely outside the law." Upon hearing this, Hua Wen Chieu immediately felt a chill run through his body. So this young, arrogant little fool still wanted to destroy me even after I had begged like a dog? He couldn't help but yell, "Tham Lang, you're slandering me." Tham Lang said, "You embezzled nearly 30,000 gold coins, but in the secret gold vault, there is only about 11,000.
You bought so much land, villas and luxury properties. Your family lives in excessive luxury, but all of that added up is only about 5,000 gold coins. So where did the rest of the gold go? At this, the Earl's eyes narrowed. Tham Lang continued, if I'm not mistaken, all that gold was given to the city lord's office and the governor's office. Your second son didn't leave Swanwu Chai. He likely went to the capital. And if I'm not wrong, he is about to become one of the top candidates for the martial examination. Hua Wen Chieu, you not only embezzled from the Earl's residence, but you also colluded with the enemy, planning internal sabotage to deal with the Swanwu Earl's household. So, not only did you embezzle, but you completely betrayed us. Hua Wen Chieu sneered, you have no evidence, stop trying to frame me. Tham Lang suddenly threw the ledger from the secret gold vault in front of Hua Wen Chieu's face and said coldly, open your eyes and look, every gold coin you embezzled is recorded here, and you know it clearly. The Earl picked up the ledger and flipped through it. Sure enough, every single bribe was recorded in detail. There were no names, just codes like number 1, number 2, number 3, but it was easy to guess that these numbers referred to the powers involved. The Earl closed his eyes, trying to calm himself, then slowly asked, Hua Wen Chieu, why? Have I ever wronged you in any way these past few years? Faced with this mountain of evidence, Hua Wen Chieu realized he had no way to argue anymore. But instead of pleading, he stiffened and said coldly, Earl, 3 years ago, I wanted to recommend my second son to the Earl's personal army as a 100-man commander, but you rejected him. Have you forgotten that? Was this the reason you're betraying me? The Earl replied, I gave him a chance, but he failed both the military and civil exams. How could I appoint him as a 100-man commander? The Earl's personal army is the foundation of the Kim family's 100-year-old legacy. How could I abandon justice for family ties? I rejected even my own grandson when he wanted to join. Hua Wen Chieu sneered, I've been loyal to you for over 20 years, and yet you couldn't even secure a future for my son. Isn't this just cruel and heartless? And now, with the new regime in full force, the Swanwu Earl's household is sinking like a ship. Why should I stay and go down with it? Shouldn't I find a way out?
The Earl said, you want to find a way out? But is it to sell out the Kim family? A person who does great things does not sweat the small stuff, Hua Wen Chieu replied. I will kill you. The Earl suddenly drew his large sword. Earl, you cannot kill me, Hua Wen Chieu laughed. I've contributed so much gold, not just for the future of my son, but also for today. I am just your hired servant, not a member of the Kim family's household. No matter what crime I've committed, you have no authority to deal with me, much less kill me. If you do, you're interfering with civil matters, which would violate national law. And let's not forget, I hold the title of Duke of the Viet Kingdom. Old Master Lin quickly stepped forward and grabbed the Earl. Master, you cannot kill him, Old Master Lin said. If you kill Hua Wen Chieu here, you will leave a huge flaw. Don't forget how the Earl of the East Side died at the hands of Zhang Sheng. Shen Lang said, Father-in-law, this scoundrel deserves to die, but it cannot happen here, not in front of everyone. Earlier, he had personally executed Hua Dian, but no one knew. The body was burned to ashes and scattered in the sea. Now, with Hua Wen Chieu in the Earl's residence, surrounded by countless eyes watching, if the Earl were to kill him, it would be an affront to the new regime, and the government would most certainly take action in just a few days. Hua Wen Chieu regained some confidence after hearing this and said, Earl, you are a man of rules. The only thing you can do is hand me over to the city lord's office or the governor's office and present the evidence of my embezzlement. Let the governor's office judge me. Once handed over to the governor's office, it was easy to imagine what would happen. They would find a criminal who looked similar to him, and Hua Wen Chieu would continue to live freely outside the law. Hua Wen Chieu loudly proclaimed,
There's no one in the Xuanwu Earl's residence who can kill me. If I die here, the governor's office will send people to investigate in 2 days." Shen Lang said, "No, we can kill you, and it will not violate national law." "Dream on," Hua Wen Chieu laughed. Shen Lang said, "Old family head, it's time for you to clear the way." At this point, several figures entered. Hua Wen Chieu saw them and instantly lost all color from his face, his bladder almost giving way. Because the people entering were the head of the Hua family, 3 clan elders, and several strong young men from the clan. Shen Lang crouched down and said, "Hua Wen Chieu, the Earl's residence cannot kill you, but the Hua family's rules allow you to be killed here." The head of the Hua family bowed deeply to the Earl and said, "Our Hua family has been supported by the Earl's residence for many years, and yet we have raised such a heartless traitor, all because of our lack of discipline. We apologize to the Earl." After speaking, the head of the Hua family directly knelt down. "Absolutely not, absolutely not." The Earl quickly stepped forward and helped the old man up. The head of the Hua family said coldly, "Bring Hua Wen Chieu back to the Hua family ancestral hall and beat him to death." Hua Wen Chieu struggled desperately, yelling, "By what right? Even if I am embezzled in the Earl's residence, I've not broken any family rules. The Hua family ancestral hall has no authority to kill me." Shen Lang stepped forward and said, "Hua Wen Chieu, the crime you will be executed for is not embezzlement, but the crime of seducing your sister-in-law and committing incest." Upon hearing this, Hua Wen Chieu froze completely.
Truly mysterious. How did Tham Lang know? Although this woman was Hua Wen Chieu's sister-in-law, she was only in her 30s and still in her prime. Hua Wen Chieu, not only do you have economic issues, but your personal conduct is also problematic, Tham Lang said. You've really let down the family and the people who've nurtured and trusted you. However, I truly despise you. Someone like you who can no longer perform mathematics at your age, yet you can still conspire with young, beautiful women. What can't be conspired with? With money, you can control even the devil. With money, you can make women submit to you, offering them treasures and luxuries. With money, you can make women speak. Of course, you can make them speak the truth and sell out Hua Wen Chieu. The key is how much money you have. Of course, only a small portion of women can be bought like this, while the majority remain virtuous and reserved. Hua Wen Chieu felt immense pain and coldly said, "That slut dares to betray me. Doesn't she fear being dragged through the streets and beaten to death?" Tham Lang replied, "Pay her some money, and she'll reconcile with that useless husband of hers, then she'll gladly speak up." "Take this scoundrel away," the head of the Hua family ordered. Hua Wen Chieu screamed desperately, "Earl, please spare my life! Please, spare me! I'm willing to confess. I'll admit to everything. I've bribed the city lord's office. I've bribed the governor's office. I even bribed people close to the general." The Earl was taken aback. Tham Lang shook his head and said, "Useless. The city lord won't take the money directly, and Zhong also takes gold from the Tu family, cleans it, and sends it to the Zhong family under the guise of a dowry. Besides, who would we report your confession to? The governor? The general?" At this moment, the situation took another turn. Who will report this? How can you file a case against the local officials? You want to give this confession to the national government? The national government would immediately think, what is the Xuanwu Earl trying to do? Why force this issue when we could just let it go? This is not just administrative resistance, this is outright defiance.
Under these circumstances, the economic problem can't be blamed on just one official, not even the city lord. But for Hua Wen Chieu, the Earl's household manager, the obvious crime of embezzlement is not enough. We need to use a moral infraction, a scandal involving male and female conduct, to finish him off. The irony is overwhelming. The Earl sighed, abandoning the decision to kill Hua Wen Chieu. Hua Wen Chieu's entire body was dragged out, almost losing control of his bowels in the process. "Earl, I have a huge secret to tell you. Tham Lang, I have money, I have money. Tham Lang, someone is targeting you, Dian Huang is targeting you." Several hours later, at the Hua family ancestral hall, Hua Wen Chieu was completely humiliated, his frail body swaying in the wind. Then, before a crowd of hundreds, he was beaten to death, his life taken in the most brutal way.